Hi, this is Shadi. Today's wrestling has been on my list for quite a while now, and finally I got to it. It's, of course, Huka Huka wrestling. So it is the wrestling of the indigenous people in Brazil of the state of Mato Grosso. What I find very interesting is how they start from the knees on the ground. You rarely see this in indigenous wrestling. It's all about staying upright and not falling to the ground. However, this one is a lot of control, not a lot of throwing, but it's all about controlling. So we're going to be discussing this. But before we do that, please, as always, don't forget to like this video, subscribe, and don't forget to check out my book, The Origins and History of Judo. Link will be below. So as you can see, it's a wrestling that starts from the knees mainly. So the chief calls out the wrestlers and they come in ceremoniously, rotating, facing each other, almost like a clock, or to the left side of the wrestler until they get close, get down on their knees. And the goal is rather simple, is to put someone on their back and control them. This form of wrestling is also available for women historically, not just for the men. They even wrestle topless, and unfortunately I cannot show this to you. And here you can see this knee pick, and he is being driven down, as you can see. So they start from the knees, but they can of course get up. They entangled with each other, overhook, underhook, collar tie, all those basics that you know from wrestling. But as they get up, of course, you're going to see some throwing, but it's mostly about controlling, not so much about throwing the person. So this is, of course, Kuchiki Taoshi, one of the fundamentals of Judo, or fundamental throws of Judo. You can see it in old style Judo. Of course, we have scooping throws. So here, for example, grabbing the leg, scooping up, and then lifting the opponent, rotating them, taking them to their back. Same thing. And here, for example, the same. This is the old style Te Guruma in Judo. You see it quite a bit. And you grab the upper part of the thigh while controlling the upper body with the arm. And it's mostly used in the past, of course, as some type of counter, or a lot of people actually use it as their specialty, but mainly it's about really going under, taking that leg, rotating them, or just lifting them up. Here you can see it's a counter to Uchi mata, but of course it can be a straight attack. The knee pick that we saw before, it was a drive down. This is a scooping throw, so you lift upward, really controlling them, and then slamming them down. And that's how you achieve this, very different than what we saw before. So of course you're gonna see a lot of overhooks and underhooks, rotation of the hips, either driving the partner down, or be in the back, or to the front. And of course you can scoop them up like we just saw, but on the ground, when you're entangled and you rotate your hips to get them to their back, it's gonna be something like sumi otoshi or uki otoshi. Of course, it all depends on the direction. So sumi otoshi, it's one of the hardest throws in Judo. It was the specialty of Mifune, and you really have to catch them moving on one foot, unbalanced, and with your hands you cut down. So uki otoshi as well, here you can see it. But with overhooks and underhooks, it's somewhat easier because the distance is closed off. All you need to do is simply rotate your hips to the direction of the throw, and then with your hands put them down. So being without any clothing is much easier to perform rather than here with the jacket. But it can be fairly common. Of course, as you get up, you can also pick up and slam down with the back of the hips. Here, Ushiro Goshi, same thing. found in Judo as well is one of those counter attacks where you pick up almost like you're gonna suplex them, but you just slam them down, remaining standing. So it's a hip technique because the lift happens with the hips. You're pushing forward with your hips, of course, almost like arching your back and lifting them up, rotating, slamming down, instead of sacrificing yourself or rotating around them, throwing them away like uranage or yoko guruma. So there's not much throwing in Huka Huka. It's more about control since it starts on the knees, very much like Jiu-Jitsu, but the goal is rather simple. It's to put someone on their back and control them, and you win easily. So this is mainly it. It's been on my list for a very long time. If you enjoyed it, please let me know. Like this video, check out the links below. This was Shadi, and thank you for listening.